Good morning. This is my YouTube live for this morning. Take two. I had some problems earlier, technical difficulties, and I finally figured them out. Oh my gosh. The problem was one of the ports on my laptop wasn't reading my video signal. And so for some reason it worked fine because it's had a screenshot of my original video, and then it didn't work. So I am back, yay. And I'm going to be sharing with you a crossover gatefold card this morning. I'm just gonna wait just a few seconds more so that I can get some people back, and I apologize for my difficulties this morning. Can you hear me? If anyone is there and can just type in and just say that they can hear me, because that was one of my other issues, and it was related to my camera because my camera setup just wasn't working. I tried everything. I have someone from hello. If someone can just tell me if they can hear me. Okay, that would be great, and then I'll get started. I don't want audio problems again with this video. Oh, great! We've got sound this time. Awesome. Okay, if you hear drumming in the background, we just had a little bit of a deluge here in the Boston area. It is coming down hard, so if you hear background noise, if you can see my window in the back, it looks kind of hazy. Yeah, that's kind of rain coming down really hard right now. But let's get started. So I mentioned earlier, we are going to be making this crossover gatefold card. And I just wanted to say a quick shout out to Susan Campfield. She was the one who inspired me to make my crossover gatefold card. If you would like to see her card, there's a link to my blog in the description of this video, and just go there and have a link to her blog and her original card. She did her card in landscape mode and mine is in portrait mode, so it is a little different, and I've used a completely different stamp set, so our cards don't look anything alike, but I wanted to let everyone know where I got the inspiration from, and her card was also beautiful. So if you want to have a look over at her card, I encourage you to do so. All right, so I'm going to switch cameras now and jump right in because we have wasted too much time this morning with audio and technical difficulties. Okay, let's see if this works this time. Let's click on my other camera. Yay! Awesome. So I've got my Stampin' Blends out here. We're going to be coloring a little later on. I've got my memento here. I've got all my card pieces here. Let me just scoot those out of the way for a moment. I'll show you how this card works. It opens up like this, and I just have a little bit of a layer on the inside, and I just took one of the framelets. These are I tell you, all these names start to sound the same after a while. These are the Stitched Nested Labels dies, and they come bundled with the Free as a Bird stamp set. You can also buy them individually if you would like to buy one or the other of these items, but if you buy them as a bundle, you can save 10%, so that's always nice. And I just used the largest label die to create this inside piece, and then this just kind of folds over like this. This is a great fancy fold card because it's easy to make. So even if you're a beginner, I'm sure, maybe not beginner, but I'm sure you can make this fairly easy. It just requires either a scoring tool or a trimmer that will allow you to do scoring on it. So I'm gonna grab my Simply Scored right here, scoot this aside, and I'm just gonna show you how I create the base of the card. And I'm using some thick Whisper White cardstock here, and this piece measures 8.5 by 5.5. So very easy measurements. And I'm going to score at the 2 1/8 inch mark and the 6 3/8 inch mark. If you have trouble remembering that, you can do 2 1/8 and then flip this over to the other side and do 2 1/8 again, because it is the same measurement on both sides, but you just have to flip the card. But since I'm here, I just did 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. Also, I have the measurements for this card on my blog. So if you didn't catch that, just head over to my blog afterwards and you will have the measurements. This is where a bone folder comes in handy. So I'm just going to fold along the score lines and I'm going to smooth down that fold so it stays flat. Okay, so that's the base of the card, and then we're going to do the crossover pieces. So let's grab a piece of Whisper White. This is the stamping part of the card. This piece measures 3 3/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. And I'm just going to take my birds from the Free as a Bird stamp set and use Tuxedo Memento black ink. Just tapping on here to get it inked up. I'm going to stamp it fairly close to the bottom. Sorry, I'm going to probably get my head in here a little bit so I can see where I'm stamping. Oh, and I might need just a piece of scrap paper so I don't actually stamp on my work surface. So let's just line this up a little bit. And sorry, my head might be in the way. But I just want it fairly close to the bottom. So like that. I probably would have wanted a little closer to the bottom, but it's okay where it's at. If you don't like it, you can always flip it over to the other side, but that's fairly okay. And then we'll just color this, and I've got a few different Stampin' Blends colors here. And I'm starting off with my crumb cake, and I'm going to do, this is my crumb cake light, and I'm just going to come along here and just do the branch with my brush tip. I'll take the bullet tip of my crumb cake dark and just do a shadow down at the bottom of this branch and extend it out to the twigs. Okay, and then for the leaves, I'm going to use Old Olive, and I'm not going to color all the leaves. Just to give you an idea, I'm not going to do any shading. So wherever there's a leaf, you're just going to go ahead and color it with the Old Olive light. And then the flowers, I'm just going to hit them up with my brush tip, and this is my Petal Pink Dark. So I'll just very quickly hit all of those. There's a few that I left out. The birds are probably the hardest thing to do. Not that they're super hard, but I'm going to take my Balmy Blue Dark, and I'm just going to go around, do the heads are all blue. So on this bird, I'm just doing all Balmy Blue around. Hit the tail as well, and I'm leaving the belly clear, and here I'm going to do all the way around again, and I'm leaving the belly out. Same with this one. You can have them look a little bit different. They don't have to be exact and perfectly shaped. If you look at birds online, that's basically how I learned how to color things. This one is supposed to be reminiscent of a bluebird. So I looked at bluebird images online and I came up with a way to create this to make it look like a bluebird. So here is Pumpkin Pie Light, and I'm just going to hit the top part of my bird. I noticed that bluebirds have a little white patch on their lower belly, so I'm just leaving a little bit of it white. And then this one, I'm going to come in and just kind of hit it like that and leave the white on the breast part like that. So that is basically how I colored it, except I have a few leaves and blossoms that I haven't colored. Then what I like to do, and I've been doing it kind of for all of these cards, so I like to outline my image in its entirety in Pool Party Light. So I'll just kind of do a little bit of that. And I just kind of come out and around. And this helps pop out the image. And once I'm done, I'm going to just show you here. This one right here is the one that's complete, and this one here is partially complete. And you can probably see how on this one right here, the pool party on the outside just helps pop that image out a little bit more. So that's how I would do that one. They look like robins, someone said. Well, my attempt to make bluebirds is lame. No. Yeah, you know what? What I would do a little differently with robins is I would make the outside brown instead of blue. And the blue, I could have gone a little darker with the blue. I could have used Night of Navy Light, which would have made these a little darker. But I did try it with Night of Navy, and I just didn't like the color combo. So this kind of was like, it's a little bit lighter than a bluebird, the blue, but the overall look for my card was better when I used the lighter blue. So sometimes you have to make little edits to make your card look better. Okay, so the other thing we can stamp, let's stamp two more things while we've got the Memento ink out here. So we're going to stamp a greeting. This is the third smallest. So from the smallest, it's the third one up. And I'm just going to stamp this little greeting on here. Had to do a mental check right there for a moment. Third largest, third smallest. This one's the third smallest, and that's going to go on the bottom of the card. And then I'm using the flower. This greeting, your friendship means the world to me, is also in the stamp set that I showed you earlier. And then I'm just going to stamp a flower from that same stamp set down here. And we can very quickly color this flower with the Petal Pink Dark. And I'm just hitting it with the brush tip, just for the inside. And then if you want to do just a little bit of shading, I recommend, since I'm using colors that I've already used for the outside, this is the Pumpkin Pie Light, and it's just a little bit darker than my Petal Pink Dark. So I'm just highlighting a few areas with that Pumpkin Pie Light, and so that will be for the inside of the card. Okay, let's see if there's any okay, no questions. I'm just looking at your comments as they come up. So then we're going to take two pieces of Pool Party, and this one measures 4 inches. I'm trying to remember, 4 inches by 2.5. I should have written them down. But 4 inches by 2.5. And then we're going to grab the Tombow glue and just add a little small bead. Don't squeeze too hard. And just add it to this piece. Okay. I kind of need to stand up because when I don't stand up, no, I think it's stuck down now. It's a little crooked. All right, my top layer is like a little crooked. Don't look too closely. The OCD person in me doesn't like that 100%. It should be a little bit over to the right, but it's not terrible. And I've also got a piece of the, what is the name of this paper? I will get it. It's right here. It is the Bird Ballad Designer Series paper. And I kind of chose some of the colors out of this paper for coloring my image so that I kind of match things up. So I did take my cues from the paper. That really helps because this bottom layer makes it nice so I don't have to stamp anything else for the bottom layer. It's just some pretty paper. Okay, and then I'm going to do one more thing of gluing right here. This piece will be for the inside. This piece measures 3 inches by 5 1/8 inches. And I'm going to glue this piece on there just to pop it a little bit, because my card base is Whisper White. So if I glue a Whisper White layer on a Whisper White layer, it's going to be a little bit too much white. And this way, this will pop just a little bit. Okay, so now we're ready to glue everything together. So the thing you'll want to remember is that one layer gets glued to the one side and the other layer will get glued to the other side. So let's start with the bird piece first. And I'm just going to put Tombow on half of this piece. I'm trying not to go all the way half because I don't want any glue to ooze out and glue to my card. So I'm just going to bring this in and just bring it down about right there. And then press it down. So now when this one opens, it just opens to that side, right? So the other side we're going to need to glue just to the right half of the card. So we're just going to settle this down in here. And then glue this down here. So now we've got the card opening like that, and now you've got crossover gatefold happening, right? While I have this here, I'm going to grab this and add this layer onto the inside. See how nicely that pool party just pops the inside layer. So if you really wanted to be elaborate, you could stamp some more of this flower right here. And what I would do is stamp it on Whisper White and maybe cut out that little image and stick it down there. I would color it the same way, and then I would just center it over here and here, and then you would have like a little bit more of a flare. I think this looks fine, totally fine, but if you wanted to go the extra mile and add a little bit more, you could add some more flowers on these two panels here. So just a little thought. Okay, so let's finish off this card. So I've got this little greeting right here, and I think I'm going to pop it up on some dimensionals. I saw a friend of mine the other day. She showed us the back of her little piece that she was putting dimensionals on, and it was like fully covered with dimensionals. And she asked us, like, does that is that too many dimensionals or not enough, or is there one missing? I like to use a lot, but probably not as many as her. But I like to definitely make sure my layers are supported with dimensionals. Dimensionals aren't that expensive, so you know, you have to do what makes you feel comfortable. So I will just add this to a little bit towards the right side of the card and center it from top to bottom on this layer. And I'm doing that because I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon over to this side. And I've got some petal pink striped organdy right here. And I've tied it in a bow earlier. So I am just going to use a mini glue dot. There they are. You know how things in your desk get stuck under things? That's what happens to me all the time. And it's very humid here lately, so I'm actually going to grab a second mini glue dot because everything seems to be repelling lately. For some reason, it's just been very humid here. So if you live in a humid climate, you might want to put some extra adhesive on your cards because it's it's reminding me a bit of Memphis, Tennessee, where we used to live, and the adhesive didn't stick as well there. And I found now, since I'm in the Boston area, my adhesive sticks a lot better. So there is the card. Not very difficult at all, right? Because all you're doing is you're scoring the card base a little differently, and then you're just adding crossover panels. So it's a very easy card. You can just very easily substitute with some different stamps. Like I'm just looking at one that I have on my desk right here. This is another stamp set called Beautiful Friendship. And I don't know, let me just grab, I stamped some roses for a different card. But you could see how you could put like the roses up here and use maybe a different paper. If you were going to do purple roses, you want a paper maybe that had some purple in it. And then you could use one of these other greetings that would fit down here very easily. So I can see how this layout could be used with different stamp sets really easily. You just have to find one that has kind of the same parameters. And then if you're stamping an image, try and look at the designer series paper first and use the colors out of the designer series paper to do your coloring, so that it makes it easier when you work from that regard. Okay, let me move. Hey! Here I am, I'm back. I'm just gonna scroll back to the comments and see if there's any questions for me. Kathy says you can tell I'm no bird watcher because she said they look like robins. You know what? It's just a matter of changing out a color. Like robins do definitely have an orange chest, so you were definitely in the ballpark. And robins are a very common bird. These birds can kind of be made to look like robins, although they look a little bit more like sparrows and bluebirds to me. I do actually bird watch. I more duck watch than bird watch, but I have bird books, and if there's a new bird that I see out in the yard, I will look it up because I love to know the names of the birds and what they're about. Someone said, Cindy said that she loves this stamp set more and more each time she uses it. It is a great stamp set. And Amy said that she loves the crossover panels. So that's great. I hope you're going to try out this card. It is not a hard card, like I said before, to make. If you want the measurements of all the panels that I used today, please go to my blog. There's a link below. I also have a supply list. If you would like to purchase anything that you saw today, you're welcome to please go to my blog, and I would be happy to have your order. And I reward my customers with free tutorials. So I've got over 60 tutorials now to choose from. And a lot of them are Hershey's designs. I have some note card boxes. I do a lot of 3D work, and these tutorials are step-by-step photo tutorials that I put a lot of work into. And you can get any one of those you like free with an order over $15, not 50. It's $15. So if you would like to get a free tutorial. I also have rewards for different other levels. So if you spend $75 this month, I am sending you out a pretty peacock ink pad next month. So keep that in mind if you want to place a larger order. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, and I will be back here. I have one more week before we go on a 2-week vacation, so I will be doing some more videos for you next week. Have a great weekend. It's almost the weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.